Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to this media briefing to introduce the MSME Loan Grant Facility Extension. I invite you to stand as I invite Mr. Ale to lead out in prayer, please.
Okay, let's pray. Holy and eternal Father, who lives in the heaven, we give thanks and praise, glory, honor, and majesty unto your name. We thank you for the privilege of being here today in this prestigious setting. Lord, as we put the activities, the speakers, and everything that is going to take part today, we pray that you would bless it and that all would go well. We ask that even this activity, which is for the benefit of our MSMEs, our bakers, our various cooperatives, that it would be a success, businesses would grow and develop, and St. Lucia economy would be better. Take charge of all things, again, as we put it into your hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs, Honorable Emma Hippolyte. Managing Director of the St. Lucia Development Bank, Mr. Cornelius Sidoni. President of the Bakers Association, Mr. Anthony Bousquet. President of the Floral Cooperative Society, Mr. Angus Philogen. Director of the Small Enterprise Development Unit, Mrs. Roycelyn St. Hill Howell. Director of Commerce and Industry, that's in the Ministry of Commerce, Mr. Jonathan Ale. We have our other senior officers, IT manager, and other officers from the Ministry of Commerce. From the Small Enterprise Development Unit, our business development officers are here with us, Ms. Ruthan Carrasco and Ms. Leander Calix. My apologies, Ms. Leander Calix, and all of the staff from the Ministry of Commerce. We have members of the Evaluation Committee. We have Bakers Association representatives from the producer cooperatives, members of the media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. It is my pleasure to warmly welcome you to this important forum as we formally introduce the much anticipated extension of the micro, small, and medium enterprise loan grant facility. That's our MSME loan grant facility. This time with specific support for our bakers and producer cooperatives. This strategic initiative reflects the government's continued commitment to empowering our micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and to improving our food security and local production capacity. Our bakers and producer cooperatives play a critical role in sustaining our communities in terms of our input into essential goods, creating jobs and maintaining value within our economy. Our aim through this facility is not only to provide access to finance, but to encourage automation, standardization, and value addition across sectors. When we launched this facility in April 2023, we planned for a maximum of 500 applications. Instead, we received almost double that number. And to date, over 700 MSMEs have already benefited, gaining access to finance that allowed them to expand, modernize, and contribute to our national economy. As we move into this new chapter, we are especially pleased to support two sectors that are deeply connected to improving our food security and promoting economic resilience. Today's introduction reflects the implementation of a commitment made by the Honorable Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre during this budget cycle to provide further targeted support to the private sector. It is also an acknowledgement of the needs of our MSMEs and their contributions to the local economy, and an invitation for our MSMEs to keep pushing boundaries, to continue improving their products and processes that will make St. Lucian goods even more competitive and attractive home and abroad. From inception, the implementation of the MSME Loan Grant Facility has been a journey of partnership and collaboration. So whether you are here with us in studio or joining virtually as a valued partner, supporter, or prospective applicant, I bid you a warm welcome. And I indicated that this has been a journey of collaboration and partnership. So I'm pleased to invite at this time the President of the St. Lucia Bakers Association, Mr. Anthony Bousquet, to deliver some brief remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam PS. I would like to adopt the protocol as already established. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Robert Seidman, the great constitutional lawyer, famous for using democratic legislative tools as part of the successful economic and political reforms he undertook in developing countries, always thought that among the best practices in the implementation of policy includes consulting with those who are most impacted, understanding their concerns, and including their suggestions in the final product. I've gone into this intro to point to the fact that we are here today celebrating the official relaunch of the MSME Loan Grant Facility extension as a result of the Ministry of Commerce following those best practices suggested by Seidman. And the Ministry's methodology was arrived at by having a culture of collaboration and discussion with all stakeholders. And for that, they should be commended for sure. The Ministry of Commerce ensured that the Bakers Association was involved practically from the inception of the concept of the loan grant facility. We were invited to comment on the program in its formative stages, and I thank the BI board members and floor members for their strong support of this initiative, and some of them are represented here today. Thank you very much. The ministry sought to understand our concerns, and to that end would have learned that whereas approximately 50 bakeries on island employ nearly 400 workers, we are faced with acute problems relative to the age of equipment, the cost of inputs and fuel. Despite these setbacks, Bakers in St. Lucia continue to make a critical contribution to the food security of our nation. For as a people, we consume nearly 24,000 pounds of flour a day. It's for this reason that successive governments have ensured that the price of flour is kept at a very affordable level. This Ministry of Commerce, with a view to managing this balancing act of preserving this excellent food source for all St. Lucians, while helping bakeries survive, has created this innovative loan grant facility. I started by outlining a particular legal framework, which has been found to be successful, and lauded the MOC for the Ministry of Commerce for following elements of that framework, but purely owing to a spirit of inclusion, which most likely is a result of guidance from the top. Of course, another best practice is to evaluate success. And last year, 7 Bakers Association members took part in the grant facility pilot, from which they were able to secure much-needed equipment or use the existing much-needed equipment and made their bakeries more efficient. And one of these members is represented here today, Mr. Jabatis. This efficiency did not result in any loss of employment. On the contrary, some bakeries were able to increase the employee complement or use their existing staff in a more effective manner. The current innovative MSME loan grant facility is not half-baked, nor is it really complicated like the back of the ingredients list from the imported bread products. But instead, it is very, very understandable, very direct, and to the point. And we are certainly appreciative of the ease with which one can access the said funds. It does recognize that baking equipment is not cheap. This recognition is followed by decisive action. Now, over the years, we have not have implemented all the programs with which we have been in discussions with the Ministry of Commerce. However, we have enjoyed close collaboration with the ministry. And we have seen numerous occasions where the responsiveness and effectiveness of the Ministry of Commerce has resulted in better outcomes for our members and the growth of a sector which feeds our nation. The MSME Loan Grant Facility is certainly a crowning achievement. And so we thank the Minister of Commerce, the Honorable Emma Hippolyte, and her team of technocrats. And we look forward to continuing our collaboration with this ministry going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bousquet, President of the Bakers Association. And the Ministry of Commerce has been working very closely with that association. We actually assisted in the formation of the association because it's easier for the ministry to assist members when you come together. And we also had Mr. Bousquet. He joined us when we visited Taiwan last year. And he was able to see firsthand, the extent of technology that is now used in the baking sector. Because if we want food security in St. Lucia, we must support our bakers. I'm not sure I know any St. Lucian who doesn't like a hot bread and butter. So we have to secure our bread. And we do hope that we'll see some more, definitely reduce costs, passed on to consumers, better quality products, and a reduction in imported dough. That's our main objectives. So thank you. And at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Angus Philogen, the President of the St. Lucia Floral Cooperative Society, to deliver some remarks, because this extension of the MSME Loan Grant Facility, as indicated earlier, we are targeting bakers and producer cooperatives. So I'd like to invite Mr. Philogen to give a few words of endorsement at this time.
Thank you very much. I'm not even sure where to start, actually following on from Mr. Bousquet. But can I first of all say I am indeed very pleased to be here to not just represent the floral cooperative, but the producer cooperatives in general. As we all know, the agricultural sector throughout the world has been impacted by the challenges presented by COVID-19, which halted the complementary services to gain revenue through global production and trading. Other extremities that also affected human efforts were access to services and the scarcity of food products. Whether there was emerging innovative ideas or collaboration partnerships, these efforts all became handicapped, so that one can well imagine how devastating it has been on an organization that is based on cooperation among members and which has an aging membership to attempt restoration effects. However, in September 2024, the Registrar of Cooperatives informed that the Ministry of Commerce was requesting that as part of the work program deliverables, that the sector inform on their areas of challenge to be able to explore initiatives that would support the developmental needs of farmer cooperatives towards sustainable gains. It was explained that the department was being made to explore projects that would facilitate national medium-term developmental goals that would address the farming community needs, youth empowerment, and sustainable agriculture. The Ministry of Commerce, in its greater coordination of activities for addressing and improving MSMEs within the commerce space, explored avenues towards greater integration of marketing and production needs of the cooperative farmer subsector. In response, some 10 to 14 farmer and fisher cooperatives represented here this morning made submissions describing needs and assistance with financing for procuring equipment and appliances to introduce and address precision agricultural needs, co-financing for conversion to solar energy, meeting certification requirements, and to a small extent, building and infrastructure needs, etc. The sector was very happy when, in the minister's budget address presentation, we heard that in fact the 2025-26 financial year, that indeed the farmer cooperatives subsector would be given assistance under a revised MSME loan grant facility. Hence, we are here again this morning. We remained patient throughout the early part of the financial year and are elated to be here today at the genesis of this intervention. The crucial role of the Department of Cooperatives is key to the continuous focus on membership training. Let us not take this lightly, as this is the principal way of ensuring that all the deliverables are provided. This significantly impacts an important requirement for relevance and sustainability. In the past, in this fast-moving environment, as there is no novelty in what has been said so far, as all cooperatives should have a membership and training committee, however, they need to be functional and relevant. To address any shortcomings that there may be, these committees, it's been suggested, need to have a research function, and that specifically allows cooperatives to be continuously addressing what is actually required. This training and research committee can be responsible for an example, another suggestion, an adopt-a-school program. We continuously lament actually the need for younger people. In fact, I even alluded to our aging membership. But actually we need to do things strategically to actually begin the process. And it's been said in many circles actually. Working with young people, working with very young children. So again, this is actually seen as part of what is needed by all of our cooperatives. If we, with the experiences we have, can endeavor to adopt a school as part of what we do, then we are automatically, passing on that experience and knowledge to them. Further, the needs of farmers near waterways who share the same space should be addressed because their wastewater would degrade the pristine nature of river water. And we enjoy shrimp and tilapia and pork, but part of us enjoying these things, that there are negative impacts. So one hopes that part of this project we would be addressing some of the negative impacts of some of the industries that some of our farmers have been pursuing. Ladies and gentlemen, the Floral Cooperative is particularly elated that at policy level, that policy level is beginning to appreciate the important role that we play in farming flowers and foliage. We promise that the public will be sensitized on the importance of flowering plants, and we all know that without bees we don't have pollination, so flowering plants are critical in, for instance, production. The important role assigned by Mother Nature to sustain food production through collaboration with the natural ecosystem. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the following areas are concepts, and again, I'm not speaking specifically as it relates to flower farmers, but farmer cooperatives in general, can be used to develop for collaboration. And I've just got about 6 of them, which I'll quickly mention. And one of them has been mentioned, and that is adding value. And I'll just expound on that a little bit. For instance, the Floral Cooperative, we are all about growing flowers and foliage. But really, we also know that there is the dimension of, well, I always use this example, which a lot of us can relate to. We all use ginger. We all use the rhizome of the ginger plant. The ginger plant also has a beautiful flower. But the entire ginger plant has benefits. And I think we, in a small space, small island, St. Lucia, we need to begin to more fully utilizing what we have. Fully utilizing, not just the bloom, for instance. And I'll give you, and what we came up with is the idea of from the root to the bloom. The whole idea is that we should explore how we can better utilize the entire plant. And I think if we begin to think in that manner, of all the things that we do, we will actually be better off as a small developing country. Related to that is collaboration, and that has been mentioned, collaborate with farmers to obtain inputs. For instance, we have the bakers. I know the bakers use a lot of coconut. I love to know, I could tell you. But coconut fiber, we import actually sphagnum moss particularly for orchid plants. But coconut fiber can be used to grow orchid plants. Now, we cannot just sit back and say we just use coconut fiber. We have to see what are the characteristics of coconut fiber, how we can better use it for that purpose. But again, we have a byproduct on the one hand, another, farmer cooperative byproduct, which floral and perhaps other people. For instance, we also know that activated charcoal is another byproduct. Now, the shell of the coconut is an excellent source for activated charcoal. I mention this simply to perhaps give some indication that it is not a pipe dream, that it is, some of them we are familiar with. Now, there is the aspect of, and the floral was involved in that since around 2014, that was actually going green or trying to get flower growers to use non-toxic input to grow flowers. Because one of the things that happens with flowers, you take flowers to people at hospital, the first thing they smell it, so you don't want to actually spray a plant with something toxic and next thing another person smelling it. So that, you want to minimize that. So if you can, to a great extent possible, use organic or green non-toxic inputs. The other thing that would affect a number of our farmers too would be the repair of greenhouses. We invest significantly in that, and in fact we see it on the news now. But over time, these structures degrade. We need to address the maintenance of them. So repair of greenhouses is also something that we need to perhaps explore seriously. The other one, which may be a big ticket item, is that surveillance systems. Perhaps the use of drones, with cameras and that sort of thing. Again, for a small farmer, it may not be so feasible, but with us coming together, it may be a lot more feasible. And I wish to just conclude by saying we discussed and spoke of IT. We are frankly, we all know, in an IT age, but are we maximizing the use of IT? And again, we must not think that all of our members can use these super smartphones as best as they should. So again, training in IT and related things is crucial. And I will conclude by saying water harvesting. We are an island surrounded by water, but as we all know, we do waste a lot of water. So we need to know much more and utilize water conservation technologies and water harvesting technologies that perhaps uses less energy, less electricity. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Philogen, for your endorsement of the MSME loan grant facility. And this year, or this extension, we are targeting cooperatives, producer cooperatives, and bakers. And in 2021, the cooperatives department was reassigned to the Ministry of Commerce. It was a challenge, but there was merit in this reassignment. Because cooperatives, they need to see themselves as enterprises, and they needed that assistance and support with that aspect of their business in terms of running the cooperative as a business, putting systems and controls in place, and also they needed the financial support. And Mr. Philogen mentioned the solarization project. And quite a few of our cooperatives have benefited. The government provided co-funding for the solarization project. And we are happy that to date, quite a few cooperatives have reported a reduction in their electricity bill. Significant cost savings. So our support, we are not just extending funds. This is not our first a measure of support to the cooperatives. We have been assisting them with training, and what we recognize, our young people, they are not offering their services, and the cooperatives movement requires the membership's voluntary service. We need to support our cooperatives. We believe that much more needs to be done for people to appreciate the value and the role of cooperatives in our country. Together we are stronger. When you come together, you can achieve more. So I'm really happy that this time we are able to extend the MSME loan grant facility to our producer cooperatives. And as we continue, the Ministry of Commerce would receive process applications, and we are partnering with the St. Lucia Development Bank, and this is the bank that is responsible for the disbursement of the funds, the grants and the loans. So I'm happy and very pleased to invite at this time the Managing Director of the St. Lucia Development Bank, Mr. Cornelius Sidoni, to deliver some brief remarks.
Thank you very much, PS. Protocol having been established, I would still like to greet particularly the Minister and thank her for all of the assistance she has provided in those programs. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure to be here today as we launch the extended phase of the MSME loan grant facility. an initiative that continues to make a meaningful difference in the lives of entrepreneurs and small business owners across St. Lucia. The St. Lucia Development Bank is proud to serve as the disbursement agent for this program. Our role has been to ensure that approved applicants receive their funding in a timely, transparent, and accountable manner. This has involved close coordination and cooperation with the Ministry of Commerce, rigorous documentation review, and direct engagement with clients to guide them through the process. Since the program's inception, we have seen firsthand the transformative impact it has had on MSMEs, from helping businesses acquire critical equipment to enabling business expansion, job creation, and improved service delivery. Many of the beneficiaries, most of them, have expressed deep appreciation for the support which, in many cases, have come at a critical moment in their business journey. We've also seen the value of collaboration between government, SLDB, and the private sector in delivering targeted support where it's needed most. An example of what can be achieved when we work together with a shared purpose. Of course, like any program of this scale, there has been challenges. But more importantly, there have been lessons learned. Lessons that we are already applying to improve efficiency and to enhance communication and streamline the disbursement process in the next phase. As we move forward, SLDB remains committed to ensuring that the facility continues to deliver real value to St. Lucia's MSMEs, including bakers and cooperatives, who are the target now. We look forward to working closely with the ministry and stakeholders to build on the success of this program and to support even more entrepreneurs in the months ahead. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sidoni, for your remarks. And the MSME Loan Grant Facility is the ministry's flagship initiative. And as Mr. Sidoni indicated, there were a few challenges, teething issues. We have disbursed quite a bit. The minister will speak to the disbursement shortly. But I'm hoping this time around that we have learned the lessons, as you have indicated, Mr. Sidoni, because every applicant would like to receive their money in real time. I don't know what that means for disbursements, but we will definitely continue to work with the St. Lucia Development Bank to ensure that we expedite the processing of these applications so that you can receive these disbursements at the soonest. Okay, so thank you very much. I would like to invite the director of our Small Enterprise Development Unit, Mrs. Roycelyn St. Hill Howell. Mrs. Howell will provide us with information, present on the guidelines, and that's a very, very essential part of this briefing, this session here today, that you pay attention to some of the guidelines and the requirements, and she'll give you pertinent information that you need to facilitate the completion of your application, completion and submission of your application. So I invite Mrs. Howell at this time to make a brief presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Protocol having been established. Thank you for having me this morning. Today, I'm going to share with you the guidelines for the extended phase of the sectoral areas for MSME loan grant facility. In particular, we want to focus on the bakers and cooperatives. And one of the differences as we go forward is that in the earlier phases of the project, we focused by and large on all of the MSMEs, meaning micro, small, and medium enterprises. In this phase, we will look at medium and small enterprises in terms of building resilience and food security, and hence the reason why we are now focusing on those two sectors in particular. Now, for the guidelines for the baking sector, this extension is going to target a few bakeries with a blended financing approach of 50% loan and 50% grant for medium enterprises. Whilst for the small ones, those businesses that by and large would be non-micro, but not as large as the medium, and we have guidelines that will speak to that, these will have a grant value of about 70% and 30% in loan. The interest rate, again, remains at an attractive 3%, which is designed to encourage and modernize expansion. Each applicant is allowed one application, which means that a business or company may not apply, or an owner may not apply for two businesses. We would only accept one application from one applicant or one company or business. By and large, we look at St. Lucian-owned businesses, so you have to look at those businesses or companies that have a majority-owned ownership by St. Lucians. And of course, for the bakers, we are going to target specifically those that are bona fide bakeries. And why we say this, we must note that while persons may be engaged in baking in some sense, for example, caterers and unrelated food service operations, we are focused on the bona fide bakeries in this round. So applicants would need to submit an application form, a business plan with financial projections to make this their submissions. The applicants too must provide a valid ID, proof of address, bank statement, or letter confirming the account statements. They are required, for example, if you are a limited liability company, to include articles of incorporation in addition to other company documents, which means as a company you would have to, at the very least, have your certificate of good standing and other documents to show the status of the company, bylaws, notice of address, etc. Supporting this, your documents should include the quotations and pro forma invoices. And these, of course, would have to be to provide verifiable and realistic current information. Now, we will look at how the funds can be used. And basically, these eligibility uses include equipment upgrades for automation and energy efficient technology, for food safety certification, health compliance improvements, retrofitting, in particular where standards are being targeted, improvement in the facility standards or efficiency, looking at marketing, and also product development. We are also concerned with targeted training for the business, specific to the business, and IT upgrades. The objective here is to help bakeries modify and improve competitiveness and strengthen their contribution to food security. It is equally important to note what cannot be funded. This facility will not cover overheads. So this would include salaries, utilities, and rent, and such funds. It would not cover also debt repayments, arrears on taxes, or interest on outstanding loans. These are noteworthy because we will find in some cases persons have these immediate concerns. So, in addition, we look at the sponsorship requests. These would not be eligible. Personal expenses and travel requests would not be pertinent to this particular program. However, as we move forward, we find that there will be requirements that will be outlined in guidelines and documented to be circulated to the various sectors. Noteworthy, we want to point out the requirements for the bank where there are contracts and the need for service level agreements. We must maintain those documents to be provided to the bank. This is to ensure accountability and clarity for both applicants and the bank. For the cooperatives, the program now provides up to $50,000 per cooperative, again at a 50% loan and 50% grant basis at 3% interest. In cases where cooperatives collaborate, we are encouraging the collaboration to the extent where the maximum threshold would be an aggregate of the maximum total allowed at $50,000. So if 3 cooperatives come together, they can apply for up to $150,000. This encourages partnership and scaling up, in particular where your cooperatives are aiming for larger development projects. And again, similar requirements would be needed for the cooperatives in terms of documentation. And noteworthy, in this case for the cooperatives, we want to include the need for a technical and governance oversight committee. So not only do we require documents to support the identification of all the signatories, as well as your bank statements and audited financials, but the governance of the cooperatives and the project must be demonstrated so that this can show that the project would be able to bring relevance and bear bring delivery on the particular outline targets for the project. We want to specify too that those funds would not be applicable, similarly as for the bakers, for overheads, salaries and rents, personal or travel expenses, for construction or to pay off debts or arrears. And again, it can be applied to upgrades in equipment, training for members, quality standards applications, marketing and product development, tools and energy efficient equipment. One of the things that is noteworthy on all of these, this time around, we will be applying, the applicants can apply duties, expenses on other duties such as HSL, VAT, and service charges. So these other duties in the past would not have been included, but going forward, these can be applied as eligible expenses under the project. So where the costs would have been borne by the business previously, this is now an improvement to what took place before. In addition, the limitation on age has also been removed. Good? Now, in closing, I want to emphasize 3 things that the process aims to encourage: transparency and accountability, accessibility through the guidelines that are going to be outlined. The impact itself is to help bring contributions to the economy. And we are also allowing for reception at various points. So this time we have points for access so that the applications can be deposited to the Ministry of Commerce at 3 different points, which includes the Cooperatives Department, the Consumer Affairs Department, which is at the corner of Mikul and Coral Street, and in our recently opened Southern Division. So persons who would previously have had to come up to Castries to deposit those applications, you no longer have to do this. And of course, all relevant information will be made available on the social media. I want to thank, in particular, all the partners, including the board of directors, management team, and staff of the SLDB, the partnering ministries, agriculture, finance, and economic development, those persons who have willingly volunteered to serve as evaluation committee members, affiliate cooperatives, and associations, in particular our Bakers Association and producer cooperatives, and of course, our minister and permanent secretary who have championed this process throughout, and the team supported by our other heads of department, Director Commerce and Industry, and Registrar of the cooperatives. We wish to encourage all those persons who are able and eligible to take up this opportunity, and we at the ministry are willing and able to continue to work with you to champion the success of this phase. I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Howell. And of course, as Mrs. Howell indicated, the information will be made available, and you could always contact us at the Ministry of Commerce. And there are a few things that I would like to highlight. Mrs. Howell mentioned certain taxes. We have been making submissions to Cabinet for the waiver of customs duty and the waiver of excise tax, and we will continue to do so. So it will not be done per applicant, but we normally receive approval from Cabinet for the entire year. So that will, of course, reduce on the cost of any imported equipment or material to, of course, ensure that the money stretches. And also, Mrs. Howell made mention of a few requirements, and persons might think that it's quite a bit, but it's not the case, because we're not just handing you money now. We are also preparing our beneficiaries so that they can, a few years down the line, go to a commercial bank. Because what we realize that quite a few of our MSMEs, they do not currently have the structures in place, the framework in place, even to record their revenue, expenses, etc. And hence the reason they have challenges obtaining funds from the commercial banks. So this is more than just giving you a grant, and the loan component is there to prepare you, to ensure that you have the mechanism in place, so that tomorrow you want to go to any commercial bank for additional funds. This is also an objective of the program. So I want you to appreciate that and ensure that the training and the guidance you will receive through the application process, that you will well receive the training and the guidance. Okay? So I can, in the ministry, in the government service, you could well imagine every year the millions of dollars in requests that we submit at a ministry level, and the limited funds available. But we have at our helm our honorable minister, she knows how to get things done. She knows how to get the money. She knows how, to get the attention of the relevant persons. So we are very happy that our minister is here today to address you and to, of course, endorse this extension of the MSME loan grant facility. So let's welcome Honorable Emma Hippolyte as she delivers some remarks.
Thank you, P.S. Did you do that? What did I do? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I want to recognize our PS who has been doubling up as our chairperson for this event. I want to recognize Mr. Bousquet, who's the president of the Bakers Association, Mr. Philogene, president of the Floral Cooperative, and Mr. Sidoni, managing director of SLDB. I also want to recognize Mrs. Howell, who's the head of our small business unit, our other management, senior managers at the Ministry of Commerce, all the bakers, Mrs. Kadash, the lady who speaks the loudest on behalf of the bread bakers. I see she's sitting quietly there, so I want to recognize Manins. She's the PRO, I suspect, of the Bakers Association. She's a vice president, but she's acting as the PRO. She's the one applying the most pressure. On behalf of the bakers, I recognize Mr. Pancho of the THC, who's another face and voice for another cooperative. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. As I sit and I listen, I want to say very clearly, very early before I forget, promises made, promises kept. This is not a joker. Promises made, promises kept. And on pages 20 and 21, when I'm looking at it there, is it that? Page 20, supporting businesses and entrepreneurs, which is in reality what we're doing here. A summary report is there, so I want all of you to read it. That's the evidence, as well as page 21, supporting businesses and entrepreneurs. So that is what we have been doing. That's a summary of the work that we've been doing for 4.5 years. And that's what we're doing here today. Thank you. But as I sat here and listened to what our speakers before us, I want to recognize we saw the passion from Mr. Bousquet. And I remembered we traveled together to Taiwan and he saw the equipments, and I could see it's one thing from sitting and trying to plan the expansion of the industry, but he actually saw what is possible, what is feasible, and he had to come back and share it with the members, and that is part of what you're doing today. But I really want to recognize the knowledge of the senior among us, the one most senior, Mr. Philogene, and he stood here and start telling us some of the things that we can do that we have not done. So he was actually reinforcing the point of what you're doing in the cooperative sector to bring our young people to learn from our seniors. That is the only way we can grow, to pass on the knowledge. And I can tell you from working with Mr. Philogene as a member of the Floral Cooperative, he has always been ready and willing to share his knowledge. Let us show our appreciation to the team. And before, I need to say something else as well. I want to take this moment to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and our Cabinet of Ministers. So when I get in there and we have the technical papers from the PS and the staff, I've got to go in and present it to the Cabinet and to the Honorable Prime Minister. And I always get their support. So let us show our appreciation to them. I also want us to show our appreciation to our partners. Mrs. Howell has outlined it, but I also want to thank PS and the technical team for the continuous work, as well for to the staff of SLDB, the work that they do every day to make these programs, bring them to fruition and to make them a success. Let's show our appreciation. Today marks another important step in our government's ongoing commitment to empower St. Lucian enterprises and fortify our economy against the shifting tides of global trade. And so we have gathered here to introduce the extension of the MSME loan grant facility, this time further targeting the bakers and producer cooperatives. This decision is strategic and necessary, reflecting our recognition that sustainability self-reliance, and food security are definitely not abstract goals, but practical imperatives for our survival as small island developing states. When we first launched the MSME loan program in April 2023, it was to provide critical support after COVID-19. The response from our entrepreneurs, their creativity, discipline, and drive has been remarkable. And you've heard the records. Over 700 of our MSMEs have actually received funds, and we have disbursed EC $9.8 million in loans and grants, 70% of this being grants. Give your government a round of applause. Never before. And that is the facts we are given there. The facts, not AI, not lies. The facts. 700 of our small businesses have benefited. And SLDB is there, they're sitting there, they are the disbursement agency. That's what we have done. And I'm saying, judge us by our performance. And those of us who want more of that, know what you have to do. Know what you have to do. That's the long and short of it. And the time is coming, the time has been announced, where those of you who want more of what we are doing now, know what you have to do. You know? Okay? Okay. So we have these two programs now. We have bakers and cooperatives, and I'm seeing there that we have an allocation of $1.48 million for this phase. The baking sector, we are targeting 13 bakeries, and we expect them to benefit something like $540,000, 50% of that in grants and 50% in loan funding. That's it. So the government is giving technically those persons who qualify, those bakeries who qualify, you're having grants of $270,000. And you'll have loans of $270,000 at 3% interest. As it relates to the cooperative sector, we are targeting 14 cooperatives, and they should receive some $538,000. Again, 50% loan, 50% grant. This includes 4 producer cooperatives participating in the program called Unleashing the Blue Economy. And again, that is where you see a bit of collaboration between the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Agriculture. We have some fisher cooperatives that need help. And we had to sit down, they need to put a deposit in order to get funding out of the Blue Economy program. So we have to use part of what we're doing here to assist them so that they can put it as a deposit to go forward. We have to be creative in what we're doing so that our fishers can benefit, our farmers. And I see we are targeting the 10 farmer cooperatives, 10 farmer and fisher cooperatives, in addition to the 4 that I mentioned. And I'm seeing we had an extra $400,000, and what we've decided to do is to go back and look at the applicants under phase 1 and 2 and to analyze and see how we can pick up some of those applications that were denied and see how best we can work with them to get them to qualify under this. We cannot rely indefinitely or almost exclusively on imports to feed ourselves and our visitors. And that is why we decide to focus, target this time, on the baking sector and on cooperatives. Under phase 1 and 2 of the MSMEs, we open it out to businesses. And we had a significant mix, a tremendous mix out of the 7. But we felt we needed to start targeting to see the growth of some of the industries. And this is also in line of our policy decision where we've taken a decision to expand and grow this economy one sector at a time. And I can tell you, because at one point I remember very clearly, we saw the CMOS farmers, I could remember very clearly when they were coming in with CMOS drinks, and we felt we needed to target them, give them the support to let them grow and expand. And that is what you've seen now. You've seen the explosion of the CMOS industry, a very unique product for St. Lucia. And we are proud, we being Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Agriculture, the government of St. Lucia, we are proud that we've taken a policy decision that has impacted the small persons, the women and youth and men who have decided that they're going into the CMOS industry. You have the harvesters, and then we've done support work. And through our youth economy and our MSME loan grant facility, you are seeing the value added by those persons. You see some of them at our St. Lucia Taiwan trade exhibition. New products. CMOS, our CMOS has reached every part of the world, and we are proud of that. That's the record that we have as a government. That's a record that you have. And we've done the same thing under our, it's not a program within the Ministry of Commerce, but it is actually through the Taiwan, the community program that we have with the ministry, with Taiwan, in Foshejak in particular. And there again, we have placed some funds with our Dashin farmers. And in less than 2 years, we've seen our Dashin being exported. The information we have now, it is one of the fastest growing agricultural products for this country. That is your government targeting industries, seeing potential, and going out and providing the financial support and technical support to our people so that they can grow. And I want now to put a plug for Export St. Lucia and Ms. Danielle and her team, and as well the Bureau of Standards and the work that you're doing with us to push our manufacturers, to push our farmers, to push our fishers. So now we are bringing cooperatives into play. It is always a challenge when we have done things one way all the time, and now we are trying to refocus how we are going to do this. Under the THC in particular, and I'm glad that Pancho is here, we have seen our farmers growing cannabis, and we now, as a government, sees the potential of how we can bring them together, put a structure together. We have the RSA, Regulated Substance Authority. But what structure do we put in place for our farmers who are cannabis growers to do this within a framework where they can grow, develop, add value, and benefit from that industry when it is launched? We've done a lot of work. We've done and put the legal framework together. But the THC is a cooperative that is going to cause the grower, the cannabis grower, to have an institution, a structure that they can come in, grow, sell, and benefit. So I'm hoping, Pancho, that you're one of those persons that your organization is going to apply for this program. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm supposed to be in my constituency because that is where the people have to vote for me. If they vote for me, I can come here and speak to you as a minister. So I need to go over there, but I am very pleased that we are doing this today. I felt it was important enough to come here to address you, to thank you for the work that you're doing in the cooperative sector, to thank you, bakers, for feeding our people every morning. I know it is always a challenge because you, as bakers, people have to wake up 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So that is why I'm very pleased that you are taking that decision to modernize the industry. one of the challenges I posed to you some time ago is that I would like to see 3 or 4 new products on the shelves. I know we can do that, and I pray God that you succeed and to continue contributing to the growth of our country. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your support, your drive, and more importantly, your visionary leadership. And of course, even this facility and a lot of what we have delivered at the Ministry of Commerce, these are the fruits of our minister's labor. A true leader. So distinguished guests, viewers, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our media briefing to introduce the extension of the MSME loan grant facility. And we expect to receive your calls. We expect you to visit us at our offices in Viewfort, Castries, as Mrs. Howell indicated, and also the Cooperatives Department. And we'll be happy to provide you with the information that you need. But I want you to remember this phase, we are targeting bakers and producer cooperatives. So we are looking forward to serving you. It's for you. We want you to qualify. So we will do our very best. We'll allow our business development officers and our cooperative officers to work with you. As a matter of fact, we have already commenced the work. And I was asking Mr. Bousquet earlier if they are ready, because for months we have been informing them, working with them to put the facility together. So you should be ready, and we expect to receive, Minister, you didn't even give the date. You should be ready to submit applications from next week, November the 17th. We will be receiving and accepting your applications. November 17th to December the 16th. So you have approximately 1 month to submit your applications for the MSME loan/grant. And a reminder, $50,000, up to $50,000, qualifying bakers and producer cooperatives, 50%, which is $25,000. That's a grant. You don't have to repay that. You only repay maximum the $25,000 at a very low interest rate of 3%. Okay, because this is a facility to assist, to give you an injection of much needed funds, but also to prepare you so that you can continue to access funds, whether it be by way of loan at the commercial banks or even grant funds, right? So this facility is to prepare you, as I indicated earlier. So I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we do look forward to serving you. We do look forward to disbursing these funds, and we'll continue to work with you post-disbursement, because we will continue to hold your hands to ensure the funds are utilized for the purpose or purposes that you indicated in your applications, and we want to hear the success stories. We have so many success stories under the first 2 phases. Persons who started manually have, given their testimonials that they are now, they are now automated, and that's what we want, the transformation. And so we look forward to the success stories, and our officers are available to assist and to support. So with these words, I'd like to say thank you, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Thank you very much.